Welcome to the Chestnut Conversations. We got next episode, and today we have a special guest, good friend of mine, Marshall. Marshall is making waves in commercial real estate. He's doing all kinds of things with malls, transforming them into different kind of spaces, building communities. Marshall, welcome.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, FEMA. I appreciate you bringing me on, and I can't wait to share what I know. So hopefully we can add some value to the listeners.
Our podcast is sponsored by Drutex. This is why the show is possible. We're very grateful. Custom windows and doors for residential and commercial. So thank you, Drutex. Marshall, we're just talking before a podcast, and you mentioned you almost went to the Super Bowl, but didn't ended up going, and that's pretty exciting. Like, what happened? Like, how did you get invited?
You know what? It's interesting. We actually own a property in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and the NFL called me one day. It was actually last May, and they wanted to look for some space, and we didn't know why. We had a feeling it was the NFL, but they wanted to rent out our building and also a parking lot. Okay. So it took us about 6 months to get the deal done. Going through negotiations, and a part of our negotiations was they need to give us some tickets because it's really hard to get tickets. You know,
it's really hard.
Yeah. So, but I couldn't go because I pulled my Achilles heels, and I did not want to walk around limping and while everyone's having fun, and people had to wait for me. But it's okay. There was a bunch of delays that day in flights anyways.
Okay, so it was hard to get to.
Yeah, so, but it's okay. I think we rather just take the money and,
No, it's like super exciting, like to get a phone call from NFL, like, hey, come to our Super Bowl game.
Yes.
How do you do that? Like, how do you get a phone call from NFL? Like, what do you need to do?
You got to own some real estate. And if you have something that people want, they'll call you.
That's pretty cool. You do commercial real estate, and we all know commercial real estate could be really closed off community.
It is.
It's there is not a lot of diversity in it, I would say, and it's really hard to get people call you back, and it has a bad rep, and it's probably for a reason. But you are commercial broker of the year, and look at you, you made it. What's your secret? How did you do it?
I think having perseverance, because when I got started in commercial real estate, it was really hard. And my story was after when I graduated from the U of Minnesota, I opened up a nail salon with my family. And, one of my first clients that's at the nail salon became a mentor, dear friend to this day. And he's turning 81 this year.
Okay.
Super energetic. He has a lot of energy, super sharp, and has a crazy, amazing portfolio in commercial real estate. But when he introduced me to the industry, I got my license. But I think I met with 24 different people. When you mentioned it's a very close-knit industry, it is very, very hard to get into it. But once you get in, you do the work, you work hard, people acknowledge your hard work, and things gets a little bit easier, but just getting into the industry was really, really hard. But I think through having a good team, good people around you, supportive family, supportive girlfriend, now wife today, you're able to overcome many things. Because at times I actually wanted to give up. I'm like, man, I met with 24 people and nobody gave me an opportunity.
Really?
Yeah, but you know what? But I thought what was interesting was when I went in 2016, when they had the MinCar event, which is the Minnesota Association of Realtors, where all the commercial professionals, developers, brokers, lenders, everybody was under one roof. This was when they were going to share and open up the US Bank Stadium. I walked in the event. I looked around. I was the only Asian guy. 1,200 people.
1,200 people.
Yep. And this was after me meeting 24 different people. And I was like, you know what? That's why they didn't hire me. But I saw that as an opportunity because I knew I saw that. I was like, because of that, it just shows that the minority industry is a untapped market. And it still is till this day. Right. So I got excited after that, even though that would have demoted,
most people.
Yeah.
Most people will say, you know what? I'm not going to make it. And you make an assumption because you're not going to make it. And it has nothing to do with reality.
Right. And then I called my mentor afterwards. I'm like, you know what? That's why they didn't want to hire me. But then I got excited afterwards. Like, you know what? I saw an opportunity. So kept moving forward. And, long story short, I worked at Coldwell Banker Commercial. I was their fastest agent during that time in 6 months. And then I had a property, then I sold to, and I listed it and I sold to Rafik, and then I got started at Caspian. So, and then, start my career with that. And then I think just a couple of years ago, I kind of made the move to kind of start my own company, investment and brokerage firm. So
yeah, and I know the guys you started with, and you got Stas, you got Ozzy, you got Jay, like really, really good people, and hustlers. They work so hard. So having the right team, one of the keys of your success.
It is, having the right team, and I think our philosophies all are in line. I tell people we work like a mafia, not like the bad mafia, right? But in terms of like the way that we think, the way that we protect each other, is very important for us to grow and create that culture.
Yeah, having you back, and and also like your reputation, it's on the line, because one bad deal could kind of bad news travel really fast, and like if you do something really off, it could really affect your business.
It is. And that's something that we always are very mindful about, because in transactions, properties, there's always challenges, right? But if we're able to get purchase for the right price, for the right basis, I think we can sustain for a while, even if the economy turns.
Yeah.
So that's our mindset.
So you mentioned there's always problems. Did you ever have a deal like everything was perfect, smooth, everybody was happy, no obstacles, you got your commission check, done? Yeah,
always challenges. And I think that's the reason why people that are in the commercial real estate world, the longevity of the industry is so long, where you see people that are 80, 70, almost 90 still doing deals, is because it keeps them young. Their mind's always sharp, because there's always different things to focus about, right? And it was interesting that you mentioned, when I won Broker of the Year, the next day I had a $44 million deal died on me in Maryland. And, that was like, people don't see those type of things, right? They see like, wow, he did this, she did that. It looks so extravagant, but they don't know the hardships that we go through. And I still remember that day, I was so like sad, because I put so much energy and time into that deal, effort. And then thinking about, just the day before I got the Broker of the Year, right? But stuff like that, it humbles you. And I realized one thing too, after that experience, I was like, the only thing that we could ever do is control our actions and our attitude. If I have a great attitude in regards to bad situations, everything will be okay. And I just kind of let it go and reset. Friday was a brand new day.
And so you lost the deal, but I'm sure you had any more deals like that in a pipeline after that. It's
absolutely.
Like,
because of that,
just the one deal, right?
Yeah, because of that, we were able to buy other stuff too. So it didn't really matter. And one thing that my mentor always told me was, there's always the next deal, right? So that kind of, those type of experiences you go through, and you kind of remember what people say, but during that time, it didn't really hit you, because you don't need, I would say it wasn't relevant.
Yes.
But, just things that your mentors and your people tell you. And then when you go through experiences, somehow that memory comes back.
And then it makes sense, because it didn't before. Before, like, well, just, that's nice. But then like, oh, that's what he meant, right?
Exactly. But I'm so young too, so I'm still growing, I'm still learning. But being able to let go with deals, I think ever since that experience, I do the work. My mentality has always been, I do the work, I do my best, and whatever happens is not in my control, right? Because there's so many people involved, even when we're buying properties now, because we're getting more into the investment side. If we do our best, and if things don't pan out, we always hope it pans out. You let it go, and if it comes back, and it was meant to be. So,
but could you share your beginning, when you were a kid? Did you grow up in Minnesota? How your family moved here, and what's your background? Did you have a rich uncle who helped you in commercial real estate? What's the deal?
Oh, I wish. I was born in Vietnam, in a communist country, and my parents, my family, my aunts, uncle, grandparents, they all went through the war, and so we lived a very, very humble, poor life in Vietnam. And I grew up in District 5 in Ho Chi Minh City, which they used to call Saigon. People used to call Saigon, and that's where all the Chinese grew up. So I have Chinese blood in me. Majority is Vietnamese. And then when I was 5 years old, like my long-term memory is really, really good, it's fantastic. So, but I moved to the States when I was 5, right to Minnesota. After the war, my grandpa, he was a lieutenant in the South Vietnam Army. And he went to prison after the war. And then him and my 2 uncles took a boat to the Philippines. In Philippines, there was the U.S. that took them to America, because there was actually a Lutheran church here that sponsored a lot of the Vietnamese people during that time. So since Minnesota is considered a sanctuary state.
So it was nothing but easy. It was hard.
It was very hard. It was very, very hard, and they came here in the early 80s. I came here in 1993 and I saw my first snowfall. It was the most amazing thing ever. But I remember just not being able to learn the language. Obviously, we took ESL, right? English second language. And I remember every time when my neighbors shared with me, talked to me in English, I ran back to my grandpa and asked him what it meant. Yeah, so it was really challenging, understanding a second language, and I grew up stuttering a lot. So that was like a limited belief that I had. I couldn't make it in career and everything. But I grew up in Richfield. So Richfield, I met Ozzy, which is, we've been best friends since 6th grade.
Okay.
And he does business with me now, which is incredible. But yeah, grew up in Richfield, got in trouble. And during the time there was a lot of gangs, rivals. And then my mom was like, you know what, we're moving to Plymouth.
Plymouth is nice.
Plymouth is nice.
Is Wayzata school district?
Yeah, Wayzata. I went to Wayzata High.
Okay.
I actually went in 8th grade to Wayzata East. And then I went to Wayzata High School. And again, I was the only Asian, but I thought that was kind of cool because I used to break dance back in the days.
Oh,
so that was
you're
like
a cool kid.
I tried to be a cool kid. So me and my buddies, we used to break dance, and that was kind of like, our way kind of fitting in, being able to do something that other people couldn't do, you know? So, yeah.
But how was it like for you, a 5-year-old, like you have good memories, you come into United States and everything's so colorful, like, there's like pizza, like real pizza and like movies and stuff like that. How was it for you?
From what I remember, it was exciting. I was nervous. I still remember getting in the airplane, and when we landed too, our family was waiting for us inside the airport. I still remember that day vividly. But I think the challenging part was not being able to speak and to communicate what I wanted. And, teachers, your ESL teachers and your friends, being able to communicate. So that was hard.
It's hard.
But then I think as, our being 5 years old, your mind is like a sponge, and then slowly you start to communicate and whatnot. But I thought it was challenging at first. But then as you get to understand the American culture, you want to kind of fit in. But Richfield is very diverse. So one thing I have friends that kind of lost their identity. They didn't know if, when they came to the US, when they grew up in an area that was more minority, if they were the minority, they kind of felt like, do I want to be Vietnamese? I'm not sure if I want to be Vietnamese, but Richfield was so diverse that we had everybody there, Yep. So which was nice because we understood that we're not alone. So
that's pretty cool.
But having school lunches was amazing. And then during that time, you're like, man, I got free lunch. And as you grow up, you understand that nothing is free. Right? So
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So high school, Plymouth, did you start hustling, selling stuff right away, or like, are you entrepreneur like by the choice or it's your nature?
It's I think from my mom's side of the family, because in Asia, Vietnam particularly, everybody, it's survival, right? So everybody, they're usually an entrepreneur. They rather, they have like a coffee shop or a restaurant. That's the most easiest thing to do. So my mom, our family, when we first came here, they opened up nail salons because they didn't have enough time. They worked in the nail salon and they saved up enough money to open up nail salons because they didn't have enough time to go back to school.
Was having kids.
Yep, exactly. Hard. So I think the entrepreneur route came from my mom and also her side of the family. But in high school, I used to burn CDs. I'm not sure you remember that, right?
Well, we didn't have that in Belarus.
Yeah,
but
so you would burn CDs to copy CDs and then do mixtapes. And I used to sell those CDs to friends.
What's the names? What's the most popular one they had?
I remember it was Dr. Dre, 2001 Chronic or something like that. When my friends, the parents didn't let them buy those rap CDs. Yep. But our family didn't really care. My mom didn't knew anything, or my dad. So we would, I'll buy the CD, then I'll burn it, and then I'll sell it to them. Yeah, but I think that was like my first kind of step into just buying and selling more on the entrepreneurial side.
So you're doing that, and you go to school. Did you do good in school? Like
I did okay.
Did you pay attention to classes?
When I think about it, if I like something, I become very obsessed with it, and I do really, really well. But in school, I thought I was average, because I was never interested in what they were teaching us. So, but I got enough to pass.
Yes, and then you went to university,
right?
And what's your major was like? What do you want to be? You come in from immigrant family. I assume they push you to be a doctor or a lawyer. Engineer, everything, right?
And I tried all of that. I tried all that. It took me 6 years to graduate the university. All my friends that graduated in 4 years, right? I felt so bad for myself. I'm like, what am I doing? But I study psychology and business management. I've always been into human behavior and why people do things that they do. And then which kind of really helped out now when you're in business for yourself and for other people.
So you were doing all the, basic work for you to succeed in commercial real estate.
Yeah.
And you didn't know, but you were still doing it.
Right. And I've always been intrigued in business and how we can, add value to that industry. But yeah, it was interesting how I think about it now is what you did kind of help you propel to what you're doing now. And what we're doing now will help us propel to what we're going to do in the future, right? So it's an interesting mindset.
Everybody say it's hard to make in commercial real estate, right? And it probably is.
It's very hard.
But how did you do your first deal? How did you get the first commission check?
It was interesting because in commercial real estate, you can also do business brokerage. I remember when I met with everybody, 24 people, every single buddy said, expect not to make money in your first 6 months to a year. And I'm like, man, how do people even survive?
That's not okay.
It's not okay, right? That's not okay for me. And because we're always in survival mode, just growing up, that's just how our mentality is. And I made my first check in 2 weeks.
How much?
$2,500.
Nice.
Yep.
That's a lot of money, especially back then.
Yeah, this is 2017.
Different $2,500.
It is. And I was so excited. Like, yes, $2,500 is a lot of money, but I was like, you know what? $2,500, and I knew how to play the game now. I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
Now we have a map.
Yep. And then I remember I was looking in the Vietnamese newspaper and I saw a lady that wanted to sell her nail salon. Boom. I called her up. I can help you sell. And then I sold her salon in like 2 weeks. It wasn't much money, her nail salon, but I made $2,500 the first week. And then once she closed, I made another $2,500, So she gave me $2,500 up front. And then the total was like $5,000. And I was like, you know what? This is kind of cool. And then in commercial real estate, my mentor always told me, become a really good broker so you understand all sides of the transaction. When you do that, you can transition into becoming a really good investor. And from there, my dream has always been to become a developer and whatnot. But yeah, so did that. And then I remember my second check was like $50,000 and it was a lease deal.
How old are you at the time?
Well, it was like what? I'm 30. I was like 28.
28.
Yeah, 28. But then during that time, somebody from California told me that, and this is untrue. He said, you should have started when you were 21, 22 in the industry. You being 28 right now is kind of old. So that kind of got me.
He put it assumption in you and limit your potential. Like, well, you can.
Exactly. But then that, stuff like that, what people say, is supposed to motivate you and not, they try to bring you down,
Don't let
but
that
then
happen.
don't let that happen, right? But I was upset that he said that. But you know what, this guy. And then sometimes I think about that conversation.
So
at times,
fuels you.
yeah, it just fuels you, right? And like, you know what, I could do it. So so that's what he said. And then obviously he came to realization that anybody can start at any time.
It was the right mindset.
With the right mindset, going in and also being in the business.
And you were doing that, selling businesses, leasing spaces for a few years. And
Right.
And then you realized you need to start your own company.
Yes.
And but also you do a lot of malls.
Mm-hmm.
But before we talk about the malls, we got to play the game and to see if you really know your stuff.
I might not. I just know my stuff.
You are officially a commercial broker of the year, but I'm gonna show you a picture of the mall, and you have to guess how many square foot it is.
Square feet? Okay.
Yeah, so we got this beautiful mall, Asian mall, Eden Prairie.
116,000.
That is correct. This is amazing. This is good. So we got another one. This is gotta be hard. Burnsville Mall.
1.1 million total.
Yes, that is correct. You know what? I should have made it harder. I mean, I worked really hard. Okay, this is one.
This one, I don't know. I know what we acquired the big box for. That's like 130,000. But Norton, I don't remember. I think total that might be like $1 million maybe, or a little bit less.
Oh,
700.
644. It's like half a point for that.
Yeah, half a point for that.
Okay, we'll go out of state. Pacifica of Kenner.
Yep. So that one, what we own is close to 1 million square feet because we have the interior mall plus the Macy's, so that's around 900. But I think the mall is around maybe 1.2.
Amazing, Marshall, you're killing it. And your company manage all of this, right?
Yeah, we we own Esplanade, we own Burnsville, and we have small partnerships on
It's
that.
millions of square footage, like right here.
So
this is impressive. Okay, we'll go to another one. What about this one?
5.4.
Okay, when are you guys taking over that?
Oh, never.
Why not?
Mall America is a different beast,
But why not?
But the family that owns it is incredible. I met them before, and they definitely know what they're doing. I think for us, it's not about the malls. It's about what we can create with it.
So you did really cool thing with Asian Mall. I mean, I tried to get in when you guys first opened it.
Yeah.
It took me months until I could make it in a weekday of peak time because it was so popular. It still is. I mean, it's a cool place. Could you share your concept? Like, what's the idea behind it, and how did you come up with it?
Right. So I think we didn't come up with it. It's been created, but the question is, how do you make it better?
Okay.
We have such an amazing team that kind of co-led, we co-led the development with our friends and clients. It's about being able to bring the community together, because if you travel to different states that have high Asian demographic, they have Asian malls, but they don't really call it Asian malls. It's just a bunch of Asian businesses in one strip center because it created a community for their people. It created a space for their people. And the question is, how do we make this better? And in Minnesota, no one has ever done that concept yet. And people talked about it, but nobody has done it. So with, the clients and partners, they did such an amazing job. They're contractors, they're business owners, and they have a lot of different type of retail businesses. So all the minds were put together and create the Asian Mall.
That's super exciting.
But being able to have the Asian grocery store is the most important part, because that's what drives the traffic. That's the anchor, and the rest you build around it with the restaurants, with retailers, insurance companies in there. So it's a one-stop shop for many visitors.
Marshall, you answer all the questions, and you obviously know a lot of malls, so it's time to crown you as a ultimate mall champion.
That is funny.
So now it's officially.
Look at this. It's official now.
And it goes next to the commercial broker of the year.
There you go.
It's absolute division. So it's not only small malls, big malls, any kind of malls.
Any kind of malls.
Yeah, you're a champion.
No, I love this. This is going on my wall. Amazing. But I think, just going back to the brokerage thing, if people are getting into the business, whether you're investing or wanting to invest, brokerage is the best transition from, right? And you learn so much about the business and how people work, how people interact, how deals get done. And it's a beautiful world. Some brokers I know that make a few $1 million a year, and you never know who they are. because they're deal makers, and it's
They just make it happen.
Exactly.
That's amazing. So go back to Asian Mall. I know you're involved in a few other projects like that. What's the idea behind it? Like, what's the end goal? Like, how do you envision Asian malls? Is it like Minnesota or just all over the states?
Right. So we do have, outside Minnesota, we do have a few projects that's outside of Minnesota. I think Minnesota, we've been able to cap it now. If you build more, then it's going to just kind of, not do well because they're all going to compete with each other. But we do have projects in different states that we're very proud of that's going to do very, very well. We're buying, former Sam clubs, big boxes, doing conversions. And I think where I'm at in my life and my career is I want to build something very meaningful. We actually created a fund. It's called the Asian Center Real Estate Fund. It's the first fund to focus on this type of concept. And I think we're doing something very meaningful for the community. And and we're all value add developers and opportunistic buyers for the property that like the type of asset investments. And I think when we're able to do that, if, create 100 Asian themed centers in the next 10 to 20 years, I think we'll get it done in 15 years because we have a right team, the right people in place that is actually doable. Because once you do one or two, you're like, you know what? I think I know how to play this game.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and this could be all over the US. And the goal is for non-Asians to experience the Asian cultures. And which is a beautiful thing, whether it's through the dining, the grocery aspect, the food, the F&B, the retailers, for people to understand and, our culture, right? And Asian foods is actually cuisine. It's the second cuisine in the entire U.S.
That's how it got me. That's how it got me, man.
Guess what's the first?
Mexican.
It is. You're right.
I mean, I don't know who invented tacos, but you know what? They should get Nobel Prize.
Exactly. So Mexican food is the number one cuisine in the U.S. and it's Asian afterwards, right? And I think about it, that's incredible. So that's our goal is, our mission is to create 100 Asian themed centers. Whether we co-develop, we invest, as long as we're part of the transaction, we can do 100 of them. I think we can create a lasting foundation for the next generations to come, if that makes sense.
That's super exciting. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us about the Burnsville Mall?
Burnsville Mall.
It's a lot of square footage, but it already doesn't look like used to look.
Yes.
And I know I have some big build outs planned out.
Right.
What we're going to see?
Burnsville Center is very interesting. If people don't know, the mall is actually built before the Mall of America. And the first mall in the US is Southdale Mall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So which is great, right? So Minnesota is a great state to be in. It's a hidden gem. Burnsville Center, we actually acquired one of the big boxes first where the Dick's Sporting Goods is. And then there was a vacancy on the lower level, which is about 65,000 square feet. We have an Asian grocery store and also a food hall that's opening up that's connected to the Asian grocery store. So that's going to be opening up in the next couple months. Our team is there. They're putting all the shelving and everything. So everything's going to be almost done.
It's getting ready.
Yep. If people wonder why that project took so long is because there were a lot of moving parts. But also we applied for different types of government, grants or whatever, which took much longer than expected to get approved. So we were in limbo for a while before we could even do anything. So that once that opens up, it's going to open up the floodgates of new potential tenants. And then the mall itself, the group that we purchased it from, the big box first, it was our strategic play to buy the rest of the mall so we can have full control. And then, I don't think the mall itself will sustain long term. As the world of malls are changing now, there's going to be a lot of mixed uses. We put in a 25,000 square foot baby animal zoo. You can come in, your family, you can get the food, you can feed the animals, the baby kangaroos, for example. So those type of uses drives foot traffic because you cannot do that online. So our goal is to reduce the traditional retail and bring in more experiential type of uses. And then we're bringing in a bunch of Asian F&B concepts from different states. So that's
what's the F&B concept for people?
Food and beverage. Restaurants, bars and stuff. That's what food F&B stands for, is food and beverage. So we have a few different concepts from different states coming in. So it's gonna be phenomenal, right? And we also have enough parking on the parking lot where we can do multifamily in the future once interest rates drop and once the number makes sense.
Because you got land.
We have a lot of land. And Burnsville Center strategically, it checked off like 4 boxes for us. Location, square footage, accessibility, and also parking. So it has all 4 of those things. And it's off of 35W too, in front of Costco and Target.
Location. I used to live in the area, so location is amazing.
Right. It's just we've been very fortunate and lucky because the mall was mismanaged. So our goal is to restabilize that through leasing and lower down expenses.
So question, how much you paid for the mall? How much your company paid for the mall? What was the purchase price?
Yeah, so our partners and we paid 6.25.
Okay, another question. What is going to worse when it's all done? When I got everything figured out, leased up, what do you think value will be?
2018-19, it was valued at almost 80 million during that time.
Okay, but let's go further out, like 2028.
2028, I think because it takes time for the economy to rebuild, right? I think even if we get to halfway or maybe 75%, our performance shows between 50, 55.
50. So you guys are magicians. You take building value at 6 million, you spend some time on it, do some magic, and boom, 50 million.
And it's really hard.
I know, but from outside, it looks really easy, you know? Like, well, now it's worth $50 million and it's full and it got businesses in it.
And we have, we have a good team, a very good team, with our partners from Chicago here locally. The Wyn Group, they've been doing phenomenal through leasing. There's, and that's the beauty of it is that, some deals go through, some deals don't, and that's a part of the game. That's a part of the, the word of commercial real estate, right?
You should not get upset if you lost the deal, even if it's $44 million deal.
Yep, exactly. So I think our basis is so low that, it's a 5-year project. We give ourselves a 5-year plan to stabilize them all, whether that's selling some of the parcels off. But our basis is very low. But one thing from my experience, if we buy another regional mall, we want it to be 1 level. 2 levels, 3 levels is very challenging.
Getting up and down, elevators gets expensive.
And there's certain, just maintenance and all and stuff, because there's certain tenants that only want to be on the main level. But if you're able to chop it off, if everything's on 1 level, it's much easier to remodel. And
what's the most challenging thing on the Burnsville project? What was it like? Wow, this is like...
I would say the most challenging thing, and a lot of malls have this, is that there's boilers that feed the entire mall.
It's expensive, probably.
Very, very expensive.
What's the monthly heating bill?
Yeah, it's very, very
Did you know how much you pay on a heating?
Yeah, very, very expensive. Electricity is very expensive.
Do you have a number?
I think our expenses a year is around $3 million.
So you buy them all for 6.
Yeah.
But you should consider what you're going to pay to keep it up.
Right, exactly. So
taxes.
So the goal right now is to just to pay the bills, and then whatever afterwards will become profit. But once, like I said, even the Sustainable Safari that open up, they're driving new traffic and new opportunities for new tenants.
And new business.
Right. And then people are getting more excited. They want to come in the malls now. And when the Asian grocery store opens up, that's going to that's going to open up a different window of opportunities for tenants.
Window of opportunity. We got a game that is called Window of Opportunity. Okay. Our podcast is sponsored by Drutex. Drutex is a producer of windows and doors.
Wow.
And show is possible. And we're going to play the game. I'm going to ask you questions.
Okay.
And you'll get a prize if you do good.
Win or lose, I still get a prize.
Yes. So first question. Warm-up question. How many panes of glass in triple pane windows?
What is it?
How many panes of glass in triple pane window?
You know what?
Triple pane, how many?
3?
Yes, correct. That is
okay.
Good. Okay. How many windows a day Drutex can produce? And I'll give you an option like how many windows a day they could do at the plant. So it's 10, 1,000, 2,000, or 7,000.
I see 7,000.
7,000 it is. It's one of the largest producers windows in Europe.
Wow.
So they do very well.
And the reason why I say 7,000 because I've seen because when I was in Vietnam years ago, I went to a manufacturing facility for windows, glass.
Okay.
It was fast. I'm like, how the heck did
technologies,
they do this?
right?
Technology, yeah.
One more question. Drutex sliding doors are very, solid and they could support a lot of weight. How many pounds they could support? 10, 150, 300, 800 pounds.
800 pounds.
800 pounds. It's a very durable doors. And last question, it's a yes or no question. Are Drutex windows and doors Energy Star certified in United States?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Absolutely.
Boom, you got a prize. It's a Drutex cup and some pens. So Marshall, thank you.
That's why the drink tastes so good.
Yes,
Cup, right?
here you go. So this is for you.
Thank you.
So you could sign the deals.
I will.
Or write checks or whatever.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
a special pen. Marshall, I have a question. A lot of people want to start in commercial real estate. They have a question like, how do you do that? How do you start? Mm-hmm. What's the first step should be? Being young and you don't know much, where do you go?
I think from my personal experience, and I didn't know nothing about real estate, but I took advice from somebody that I should take advice from when they share with me that you should get into commercial real estate, go sell buildings. And being young, naive, I took that advice. And I think for young people or people that want to get into the industry, really think about what you want. And one of the tips I give them is that if it's really, really commercial real estate or just real estate in general, meet with some of the best people. And your question afterwards should be, who would be the next 5 person I should meet with? Because and then you ask those people questions. If it falls within your type of business, your industry, and you're excited about it, like you're really, really excited and you find the passion in the industry, then I think that might be your calling. So I think the first step is to meet people and understand how to do well and how to sustain in the business, because it's a really hard industry. But it's very rewarding at the same time, because you're able to change so many lives through real estate, whether, when you open up, let's say like the Asia Mall, for example, you employ contractors, you employ workers. So you're doing something bigger than yourself. That part is really rewarding. The money will always come. You provide the value, the money will always come, right? So that would be my advice, is really figure out if you really want to be in this industry, meet with the people that are already in it, have them introduce you to other people, and just be excited. Every single day is it's very different in our world. And that would be my number one, I would say, advice. So yeah.
Any other advice, like finding a mentor, or if that's advice, how do you find one?
That's a really good question. From my personal experience, Efim, is I never looked for a mentor. I look for relationships that I can build friendships on. From there, they become your mentor somehow, right? Because you learn from them. And I think the first goal is being a friend to people, because I'm thinking about it. My mentor that introduced me to the industry, he turns 81 this year. I had nothing to create value for him. He lived an amazing life. He has the family, the lifestyle, the money, the mansion, everything. But I only knew the only thing that I could provide was being a friend, because people want to be friends with people.
Right.
And people are very nice, they're very kind, and they want to share what they know. But if you're genuine, you're sincere, you want to be friends with people that are already in life where you want to be, the transition into a mentorship becomes much easier, if that makes sense.
Yes,
right?
it makes a lot of sense.
So when people ask me, I get turned off when people say, "Hey, can you be my mentor?" It's not because I don't want to. It's because
it's very transactional.
Yeah, it's very intentional, right? Because there's a lot of takers, leechers, and there's a lot of givers, right? And what I realized in this industry, like just in general, there's a lot of leechers and takers out there, right? So you have to be very intentional of who you surround yourself with, so you don't give everything and then you get screwed over, right? But I would say being friends with people first, and it's a progress, right? Or people can pay for mentorship. So there's a lot of different ways to find mentors. People, there's coaches out there where they, people can pay for mentorships and they teach you that knowledge in exchange for money, right? But I think some of the best mentors out there, as for me, has always been free, because we have alignment in our goals, our mission, and what we want to create. And then you learn from them, and then they also learn from you. So
that's super exciting. And make it in commercial estate, self-education is important too. So you have to read. So what would be your favorite book on that subject? Not necessarily commercial real estate, but in general, what should everybody?
My favorite book, and I'm starting to read again because I read this book during college, and then it didn't make sense, and then it's starting to make sense much more the last few years. It's called the 4 Agreements, and it teaches you about life, about overcoming self-limiting beliefs, but also creating your own personal freedom. So that's my favorite book right now, and I read it at least a couple of times a year, so I can remember those teachings, those wisdom. So your mind can always be calm, and also, having create the personal freedom. So face so many internal problems. Because I think in business, we face a lot of internal problems a lot, whether it's thinking that we can do something or we can't, right? There's always, we're always right with that, right? But being able to overcome self-limiting beliefs is always the hardest thing. I think we're our worst, I would say, critics, right? But we have what's called imposter syndrome.
Oh, imposter syndrome. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. So I think at times us entrepreneurs, people in business, we have imposter syndrome, right? We're like, man, do I belong here? Yeah. Do I belong here? Like, why? How? Right? So I think a lot of us, we face that. I faced that the last couple of years, but then I realized is that, you know what? We do belong here. And because we put in the work, right? We, there's a lot of critics out there. We're able to overcome those critics, and which kind of helps make our mentality much stronger. That book, I think, really helps ease the mind, so we can make decisions every single day in the best fashion as possible.
When I started my company, I did put limiting belief in myself. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, you know what? My English is not perfect.
Right.
My name is kind of like not very Midwestern name. I don't think I could make it because I have that name and the way I talk. And I just, made that belief in myself, and that's not true. And then I met a commercial real estate broker from Chicago. He's very successful. He talks the way same way as I do. He has a dark skin, and he has a name very non-traditional name. And I'm like, you know what? He's doing great work. He's very successful. I could make it. If I'm not going to make it, it's not because of my name or not because of the way I talk. It's something else, because I did not put the work. That's probably why. And it really changed my perspective on business and what you could accomplish as an entrepreneur.
But you think about it, 2 languages, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
I'm working on my Spanish.
Yeah, me too.
My kids go to Spanish immersion, so I could read pretty good. Yeah. And they would talk to me in Spanish. I know the words, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah. I'm learning Spanish and Chinese right now.
Chinese is hard. Is it hard?
So it is very, very hard. There's different tones.
But is it similarity to Vietnamese?
Yeah, there's similar words. So Vietnamese has 6 tones. So one word, the way you say it, means something different. Chinese in Mandarin, I know they have 9 tones. So I'm starting to there's certain words when I'm with my partners.
Yes.
They talk. Because it's much easier to communicate through when they speak Chinese. And I'm starting to pick up words, so I know what they're saying. If they say one English word, I know exactly the whole context of the conversation.
And because you have a context, it's really helpful for you.
Yes, yeah.
I noted that too with my friends who speak different language. And when I know what it's all about, then it kind of connects the dots. Oh, now it makes sense. I know that word.
Right.
So it's super helpful.
But in real estate, you think about it, Fima, I think what you've created is phenomenal. From what I know and what I learned and what I heard is we're not in the real estate business. We're in the information and the people business. And that's why I think in real estate, in general, or commercial real estate, whatever you want to call it, if we have something that somebody wants, they're going to call you. Just like the NFL.
Like that guy.
We had a piece of property that they need parking and to put their staff in on game day and days before game day. Stuff like that is really cool because, and I think in real estate, that's it puts everybody on the same level playing field. Imagine when was the last time you went to New York?
Oh, it was 2003. I flew in New York when I got here.
And you haven't been to New York since?
I had a connection flight at some point, but I didn't really visit.
So the reason why I say New York is because it's one of the biggest cities in the US, right? With density and the mecca for business. But imagine if there's a building there and you're the only one, you or a couple of people know that it's for sale. And that building, you can build 100 stories or whatever that is, right? Like 50 stories. You have a high chance of a billionaire calling you because they want that piece of property for the development. So, which is incredible, right? But puts you on the same level playing field. So that's why I think I don't get intimidated anymore when I meet like a billionaire, because I know that if there's some type of value I can create, especially in the real estate world, and if I have information that could benefit them, they'll talk to you.
They'll call you.
They'll call you, which is crazy.
That's crazy. Like billionaires. Like, and
you think about that, right?
you go back when you're still in Vietnam, and then like, well, I'm gonna get a phone call from NFL and they'll talk to me, and I'll get to meet a billionaire and we'll talk business.
Yeah.
It's unlimited potentials that you could do in your life.
Yes, you know,
Isn't it wild?
It is wild. And but again, you know, when you surround yourself with amazing partners, you know, I have phenomenal partners in the real estate world. Because of them, I think it's who I am today. Just our beliefs, our philosophies all are in line, right? And I think without them, I wouldn't be where I am today, you know? And so I'm very grateful and thankful for that. And they teach me many things that I don't know. And you kind of learn from that. You know, they become your partners, but also your mentors. But yeah, you know, I think that's the common denominator when you're in real estate, is that if you have information that people want,
they'll get a hold of you.
You're worth a lot of money, man.
Marshall, that real estate and business investment, it's very stressful, right? So like ups and downs, emotional roller coaster. What do you do to relax? How do you take your mind off things? Like, how do you enjoy your life? Like, you know, because like you lost a deal, it could ruin your weekend, it could ruin your month. You know, how do you deal with it?
You know, I have, that's actually a really, really good question. And I've been able to overcome those feelings, those emotions, I think when I had my kids, because if you had a rough day, and stuff that you're not in control of, right?
Right.
You come home and they're happy and you kind of shut that off a little bit, but you're still thinking about it, you know? I think having a great family really helps out with that. But being able to keep your mind calm, and last few years, my mind has been very calm whenever things, and it's like you practice, right? When things don't go the way they're supposed to go, and if you tried your best, you know, it's the mentality of overcoming, knowing that I try my best. There's nothing it's not in my control.
That's not, you know, I work hard.
Yeah, I work hard for it. And then that goes back to saying, I heard somebody said a long time ago, there's two things that you can control, which is your actions and your attitude. And during that time, I didn't understand. But then when you go through things, it comes back. It's like the movie, the Slumdog Millionaire, right? Yes. Where he remembers certain parts of his life to answer those like questions. So stuff like that, where things are said, things are done in the past for a reason. And one thing I realized too is being able to be calm and to control what you're able to control is the best thing that you can do for yourself and your mentality, and you know, trying to put your mind at ease. Because at times it gets really, really hard, you know. There's a lot of issues that we face, but we're highly paid problem solvers. I think because of that, we have to understand when we make strategic decisions and purchases and everything, we always need to have a plan A, plan B, C, D if things don't work out. So
because they're not always do, right?
Yeah, you always do.
So this goes to the question: how do you relax? I don't stress.
Yeah, I do stress, but how relax? I think just being around my kids, family, travel. I love to travel.
So what's your top 3 countries you visited or you wanted to visit? Like, let's make 2 lists.
Yeah.
Places you went, top 3, and places you want to go.
Right.
Top 3.
I love going to Vietnam back home, because it's constantly changing. The economy and the growth is incredible. Every year you come back is different. I've been to Singapore. I love Singapore. I've been to the Maldives. I love the Maldives. But I think Maldives, maximum, I'll stay 3 days because
it's not much going on.
You know, it's beautiful, but you see the same thing every day because you're on your own little island, right?
Oh, okay.
And but then you can, like, for me, I can only last 3 days max.
You take your pictures for Instagram. Like,
yeah,
I'm done. Let's go.
It is. But places that I want to go is I want to go to China. I want to travel all across Asia, Central Asia. For sure. And also I want to go to Australia.
Australia. Aren't you scared of those spiders? Crocodiles, like they got, like you always see news.
Absolutely.
I'm like, no, I'm not going.
Absolutely. I'm always scared. You know?
If I go there, I'm not going to swim. I have a guy that he's a supplier and he's from Australia, and he talks about like, well, you're not supposed to swim in the North Shore, you swim in the South Shore, and then you're fine. Like, I'm not swimming.
Yeah. So those countries, those continents countries and continents I want to go to. So, and definitely for sure Africa. I really want to go to Africa. Africa, see just a different part of life,
Yeah, but Africa is so huge.
It's huge.
It's very diverse.
I have friends that, some of my good friends are from Ghana. So, and they live in the US now. So they want to take me to Ghana one day. So I think that'd be really cool.
That's really cool. Marshall didn't just come to the podcast. He brought a gift.
Oh, yes.
For our listeners, who's going to write the best comment, and Marshall's going to handpick it.
Okay.
So you should write what type of business you want to see in a Burnsville mall. Mm-hmm. We already have a baby kangaroo, so don't write that.
Yes.
I mean, that's already done. But if you have any idea, just write it out, be creative, and you'll get a gift, Marshall. What
type of business, what type of concepts?
Yes, just, any idea.
Amazing. Yeah. So we love having people giving us ideas, because sometimes you don't think about those ideas. So we're always open to suggestions. But I do have a gift. Not only for the listeners, but also for you too.
Oh man. I feel like it's my birthday.
Yeah. 2 Wyn Group shirts for you.
Oh, cool, man.
This one, and also the one with the collar.
Man, this is when I'm gonna meet a billionaire, I'm gonna keep this one on.
Yeah, thank you. And this is for the listeners too. You also get a shirt as well. I'm actually wearing the shirt too, so it's good. It's good to work out, fitness. So the quality is amazing.
So guys, please write your comment.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
No, it was a lot of fun. So also I want to talk to you about Minnesota in general. How do you live in Minnesota, and what do you like and what you don't like about Minnesota?
Yeah, I'll say Minnesota, it keeps you grounded, right? So we have the harsh winters here. It keeps you humble, it keeps you grounded. And whenever you travel other places, appreciate it more, if that makes sense. As you said earlier too, it kind of filters people out because of the winters here. So not a lot of people come here. People come here typically if they were born in Minnesota, they come back to raise family or work. But Minnesota is a hidden gem. The food scene here is amazing. The culinary chefs, and we actually have some chefs that James Beard Award winners. I think one of the restaurants was considered one of the top restaurants in the United States. So there's a lot of culture here. It's pretty diverse. And Minnesota, I think, is a great place to raise a family. And it's a second tier market, which is a great thing, meaning that if something works in Chicago, it will work here. So Minnesota will always constantly evolve, where these bigger cities, they always compete in what is the next big thing, right?
Yes.
But here, if it works over there, it usually works here, and then it keeps evolving. So it's hard to stop the growth. If that makes sense.
I do get a lot of heat on it, but I say Minnesota is probably the best state. I mean, everything. I mean, I may be subjective, but with a family.
Family is amazing.
It's very, very family-friendly state. Mm-hmm. School district is amazing, and it's free. Like you went to Vaizada, it's amazing school district.
Yes, it is.
And your parents didn't have to pay a private school sticker for it, right? So it's all covered. I love it here. And the commercial estate price, also reasonable somewhat compared to other states, and there's a lot of opportunities.
It is.
There's so much you could do. There's like so many businesses you could start, and it's amazing.
Yes, I think, and I agree with you on that. There's a lot of room for growth and continued growth, especially the family too. You have kids, and I have 2 boys now, and you think about where they want to grow up, and I think Minnesota is a good opportunity for them to grow, to basically grow up here. So, and then when you travel, you appreciate it more. When you go to California, or when you go to New York, Florida, wherever it is, you appreciate it more, and then you come back to Minnesota where it grounds you.
It's so cold today. It's below 0 today.
Yes,
that's freezing. But inside it's warm.
But when you have a beautiful house like this, it keeps it very cozy and warm.
If you put the nice windows, Drutex windows, by the way, triple pane glass, keep you warm.
And it's also for sale right now too, right?
We're closing on the house, so it's one of the last episodes. We gotta shoot one more episode tomorrow.
Oh, amazing.
But we're closing on the house. It's a beautiful house, and we were lucky enough to shoot here for a few weeks. But we're building that showroom, Drutex showroom here in Chaska.
Okay.
And we're gonna build a studio over there.
Amazing.
So probably next month we're gonna start second season, and we're gonna do it over there.
Really cool. But I tell you one thing, I get so impressed when amazing home builders like yourself that builds this. It's so cool because our world is different, right? We're more on the business side, but when I see beautiful homes getting built like this, man,
This is
like
fun. This is fun.
You know,
This could be fun.
It's something that I would actually buy. It's beautiful. So it's
We gotta build your house.
yeah. Okay.
Gotta build your house.
Yes, we'll do. For sure, my next house, I definitely want to do a custom build.
Marshall, any big news, any big projects that's coming up you want to share that people need to know about?
We have a lot of exciting things coming. You know, I think, as I mentioned before, with the Asian theme centers, we're doing something bigger than ourselves. And I think we're able to create a lot of excitement, but also be a solution for these properties that are not doing well. And that's what I'm excited about. So just follow me on IG. Sometimes I share a lot of projects we have. We have, the Asian grocery store opening up soon in the next few months. We broke ground on our project in Illinois already. And that was 130,000 square feet, former Sam's Club. Pre-leased everything before.
Pre-leased everything. That's the way to do it.
So, we just are really excited. So a lot of exciting things happening, and going to happen. And, we look forward to working together hopefully one day, and also future collaborations with different individuals and companies to expand our horizon. So
that's awesome. Marshall, thank you for coming over.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Marshall, it was a lot of fun talking to you. Like, you have a really cool story. Like,
thank you.
When you think about it, like malls and Asian malls and then sizes of those malls, it's humongous, it's huge, right? You build a house, it's 4,000 square feet, but there is a mall, it's 1 million square foot. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. And
but Burnsville would be like multiple. It would be mixed use. Maybe in the future will
they let you do some mixed use? City will.
Yeah. The city already zoned for mixed use.
So they're very flexible.
Oh, very flexible, which is amazing. Amazing city to work with too. So they've been very. We've been very fortunate to work with a great city like them.
So shout out to the city of Burnsville.
Absolutely.
To the city planner, to the mayor, to the councilors. Thank you.
So without them, it would be very hard.
It's hard to swim, against the stream. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody helps you and push you down the river, then it's fine. But if you fight the city, that's a fight might not worth it.
Exactly. So that's why it's always good to have a good relationship with the city. And even, and here's a good tip too. Before you buy something, go meet with the city first and see if your vision aligns with theirs. And if it does, then
good.
You've done about 50% of the work already for approvals.
Yes. Marshall, any deals that took so much time that you already lost your hope on it, like, well, it's not going to happen. I was working on it for a while, but then it comes back around and boom, it's done. Any stories like that?
Not that I've experienced yet, but it's happening right now.
It's happening right now.
So there's a couple of projects that we're looking at right now that during that time the numbers didn't work for the seller, and now I think it might come back. So we'll see. But I'll tell you one thing: small deals or big deals takes the same amount of time.
Same amount of work.
And the bigger deals you do, the easier it is because you're playing in a playing field where everybody knows what they're doing. So
amateurs.
Like smallest ones, I remember when Rafik and I bought this auto center in St. Paul. So headache, so much headache.
I remember that one.
Oh my gosh. But then, we came out on top, but it was just like dealing with the smaller deals and, it took up so much memory, it takes so much brain damage, because dealing with
mental effort.
Yeah, mental effort. Even for like big deals you do, and if it doesn't happen, it is what it is because it's a big deal. You try to take it down. But just smaller deals, just remember, it takes the same amount of work and effort. And majority of the time, the bigger deals takes much easier to complete. And you're dealing with professionals. So
guys, if you need a professional to deal with, Marshall is a guy, and his guys at Wyn.
Thank you.
So to help you out. No, it was really good to have you on it.
Yep, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
So the idea was like to invite people like you, entrepreneurs, and like who is successful, and just promote a business and kind of learn about them. I think it's for people, it will benefit few people that could watch it like, this is what they're doing. This is exciting. This is inspiring. Like, they did that. Maybe I'll do something different. You know?
Right.
Not everybody could be a Marshall, but they could be themselves. They could
they can be themselves.
They could reach
Not everybody can be like you. Not everybody can be like
everybody's
right?
different,
So,
and they could reach their fullest potential. You know,
is.
just because you see some people have talent, and sometimes like, you know,
it's
if they pushed it through, maybe.
Yeah, push it through, and I think if we're willing to share information to the right people that can benefit them, you know, and I mentioned, dude, there's so much givers out there, but also there are a lot of takers, you know, and you have to decipher who those are and being able to, because you want to give as much as you can, you know, but you don't want to like strain yourself when things don't work in your favor, right? Because people use your name or your credentials or whatever to get into your circle of influence.
Yep.
You know, so those are, you know, those things I'm very protective, because if things don't work out, it's my fault, right? So,
and also time, like what you're going to spend your time on it, right? You got 24 hours a day and you could accomplish so much, right? And if you spread yourself too far out, like, well, you don't have time for your like work, or like you don't have time for your family. So if I do something, I got to make sure it worth my time, because I could have been spending my time with my kids right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm doing something else. So it's better worth it, my effort.
I agree with that. But I think with the podcast you're doing too, this is awesome. You're actually a really good host.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Like, nobody ever said that.
You're very good at like podcast host.
I showed a podcast to my family, and I didn't show it. I was watching it, and my middle daughter like, wow, that's very well filmed. I'm like, okay.
It is very well filmed.
So they compliment Arthur because he's doing such a good job. Yeah. But you're the first person who complimented me, so thank you. I'll cherish that moment.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's great. I think you're a great host, and you asked the right questions, and it was more a conversation than just like an interview, right?
Yeah. I want to like show people like, you know what, Marshall is actually human.
Yeah.
You know, you get human side to him, like, because people see commercial broker of the year, you know, boom. But he's a really nice guy.
It's fun. Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, like going to commercial brokerage and transitioning to the investment side now has been transformational. And then hopefully in the future, we'll get into more of the development from ground up when the time is right. Yeah, but just the transition to the investment side was really, really nice.
Yeah, you took what you had, like brokerage, and you applied it into the investment. So of build off that.
Absolutely. And our team all came from brokerage, you know, industry. And then, you know, we just understood all sides and all aspects to the deal, which makes it much easier when you go in and you negotiate. And because a part of negotiations, it's not about what you want, it's what the other people want. And you find a way to craft your offer based on that.
True.
Right. So it's interesting. Leasing brokers, they get paid so well because that's the lifeblood of the asset. Without leasing people,
it's just a box.
It is a box. But then I knew that I had to become really good at leasing so I can understand and build a relationship. So a lot of times now too, where clients that I represent, we're buying properties together now because I know they're the cup of tea. So we partner up on the real estate now too. And they come in as a tenant, but also a partner on the real estate. So there's a madness to what I like and what I do because I know it's going to build off from, you know, it tends to build off from that.
So by doing leasing, you helping people, you build in relationship.
Exactly.
And then you do all kinds of things.
Right.
With relationship.
Right. Yeah, dude, some of the top leasing people I know, they make a few $1 million a year in leasing. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but then the relationships that you build, you know, but only if you like are able to take those relationships and create something bigger than what it is now. Right. That's where you're going to really, you know, it goes back to depending on what your dreams and goals are.
Yes.
So I think because of that is leasing is, if you become really good at leasing, you become a machine. And then the relationships that you build, on top of that,
like one of my strongest trade, I think, is getting along with people.
Yeah.
And in my business, building homes or building commercial real estate, it's all relationship. Because I work with trades, I work with people, and I work with bankers, and it's all relationship based.
It is.
If you have a good relationship, you'll do great.
Mm-hmm.
And people will help you out. They'll be, you know, flexible with you and everything.
Right.
But if you don't have a good relationship, forget it. You know?
Exactly.
You're gonna call someone and they're gonna call you back. It's like, you know what? Screw that guy.
Yeah, having a good relationship in this business is key. So some of the best deals out there are done by relationships, you know.
Yep.
So nothing on the market. So, but even for people starting out in commercial, do leasing is it's like low hanging fruit. And then
$2,500.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is that another $2,500?
So, so I think stuff like that is key, because you build a foundation and it blossoms to something bigger. So even like developers, they need really good leasing people.
So need to,
Yeah, so they rely on that too. So
like I build a house, right? And value of the house, determined by appraisal, what the buyer is willing to pay for it. But with a commercial real estate, it's all leasing, what people paying rent.
Yep, exactly.
That's the money they bring. That's the value of the building. It doesn't matter how it's done,
Yeah, exactly. How much am I getting in rents, and what's the NOI?
NOI is money. Yeah. I hope by doing that, we'll put it out there, and when people want to learn something about Marshall, they're going to type in and it's going to come up, and they're going to see who's a Marshall is.
The Chestnut Conversation.
And they're like, yeah, Marshall. Yep, he's good at listening. He's a good guy. No, I know you already have a reputation, very good reputation, and you don't need to, to show off to anybody else, but if somebody is looking out and they could find this information.
I want now is just like, you just want to get like deals, I want people to send me deals and everything.
Yeah. So billionaires are nice. They regular humans, right? With two hands.
And they don't really talk about business, man. They talk about life, and
they have same.
And some of the people that I met, like they made it. They don't really care, talk unless you're talking about business. But a lot of conversations, just like normal conversations, family, travel, things that they like to do. Yeah, sports. Because I think they made it, so they don't really, unless they're working or whatever that is, right?
So I assume billionaires probably way chiller than millionaires.
Oh, they're really chilled, because they have nothing to prove anymore. Unless you try to become a trillionaire now, which is crazy, which is now $1 trillion companies. That's insane.
I don't know. This is like even a billion. There's so much money. I don't think it's about money anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's about like the changes that they can create for the world. I think if you become a billionaire, it's like now you have influence on the world. That's insane, man.
Yeah, it's insane. Like,
it's like how things are done. It's like puppets. They become the puppet master, right? You think about that? When you become a billionaire, it's like it's not about money anymore. It's about being able to,
it's
power, politics. It's insane. It's a different world.
I mean, but how much money people need, right? Like you have, your needs, right? You have your housing, you got your food, and you go on a vacation, you need the clothes and stuff. It's not, we're not talking about $1 billion. Like even the millions, like it's more than you need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless you do like some crazy spending, but most people don't, you know?
I heard like one of my friends, he said, once you get to like 20, 30 million, like everything's, if you make 50 million, this doesn't really do much, because your lifestyle's still the same. You still live extravagantly even at 20 million.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
So Marshall, are you gonna live extravagant life, or are you gonna stay?
Me?
Yeah.
For me, I think it's a part of my journey, but I want the people that's a part of my journey to also experience that. Because, why not, having the full menu of life, right?
Yeah.
As long as you can experience it and however you make of it, and being able to inspire people to do the same, So, but, I love living a very comfortable life.
But we're like in the States so lucky. We live so comfortably, right? Yeah. Even like everything's so accessible, and you could go with sushi at Billy's Sushi anytime you want. You could go, Asian Mall, and you got everything.
Yeah. So I think, like I'm talking about like private jets and all. So I think that's kind of cool. I would love to experience, having a private jet one day. So we'll see. Like a nice big mansion,
Yeah, I talked to a guy who takes private jets on vacation, and how much he spent for his family, and that's it's exciting. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I bought tickets to Florida on Frontier, and we paid $200 for 5 people to go back and forth.
Safer too.
And at the end of the day, we made it to Florida. We got it back. It maybe was not the right, but it was fine. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah. But I think it's for me that stuff is exciting, because when you can live it, but bring people to experience that with you is
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And then you never know, you might inspire somebody to reach their dreams, right? But dude, I'm such a I want to be there, but I'm like here, but like it's going up. So which is nice.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would do probably, I will do a lot of travel.
Travel, absolutely.
I love to go with my family. We try to go a few times a year and just to different countries and just explore, doing things, eating local food, because for me, 70% is food.
Yes.
Like I love to
too.
to local food. I go to the market and to the restaurant or even like cook it myself at, at my Airbnb and stuff. That's exciting. I like it.
It is. I think stuff like that is really nice.
And being able to take your family with you and just kind of have them that experience, so they'll be like way more open-minded. Because like if you see things done only certain ways, you can like, well, that's how it's done. There is no other way. But you got to show them it could be perspective. It could be different. It doesn't have to be the same. And when then in life something comes up, they're like, well, it's been done this way. That's how we do it. No, it doesn't have to be.
Right. I think perspective is the most important thing, man, because nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah.
I think us immigrants, like that's the most powerful thing that we have is knowing and understanding where we were. That's what helps us overcome and having perseverance, right? To not be in that position.
Yes.
Even Arthur coming from Ukraine, man, that's crazy.
And he got all this set up and everything.
Think about that. Like nobody can take those experiences away from you. So you don't get like emotionally conquered by certain things from people. And because we have a lot of like critics,
that guy from California, right?
Oh, like that? Yeah.
Whatever, man.
But like people talk about,
it's just opinion. That's what it is.
Say, like, people when we have bad ratings on like Google for the Asian mall, just projects in general. I'm like, dude, you guys don't even know, like you guys don't even know. Like, you think this is really gonna hurt me? Yeah. Like, we grew up so poor in Vietnam. When my family went through the war. Are you kidding me? It just gets annoying than anything. So
yeah, you're right. We absolutely have advantage being immigrant.
Yeah.
People say, well, it's not helping you because you're immigrant, right? Yeah. But no, it's an advantage actually.
It is.
It is advantage.
Yeah. Being able to overcome things.
Yep.
That's the hardest part. Having that mental strongness.
Because life is hard.
Life is really hard. And everything's hard, right? But having that the mental toughness, being able to overcome it at times is what many people cannot do because they haven't experienced. If you can't experience something, how can you overcome certain things, right? Like hardships, right? But I think having perspective is...
And you didn't have as a choice. You have to overcome
choice, it. Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? You're not going to go back to Vietnam. I mean, there is a war. Like, you cannot go back. You have to do something now,
Exactly. So I think perspective is huge. So this was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.